So I guess my question is this. Old habits can be hard to break. But the thing is, when you give us like these tools, how do I now make those tools a habit?
Thank you for asking these very important questions because a lot of clients, a lot of people have these questions. One ingredient to answer the question is there are 3 points I want to really mention. And one is hi everyone, I'm here today with Olivia again, and I'm very excited and curious with what she will come up today. And I hope everyone who is watching at home can get a lot out of this session too. And now, Olivia, thank you for being here. My time is all yours. How are you?
Hi. Thank you so much again, Monica, for having me. These sessions, I have to tell you, these coaching sessions have been so transformative. Like my life feels different. And I think I had shared with you, and I just want to share really quickly how incredibly productive things that I was rather blocked in have unblocked themselves. And prior to you starting the recording, I had mentioned to you some situations that came up, and also mentioning to you that these coaching sessions are wonderful, but there has to be a practicality to them as we leave the sessions. So for me, what that meant was, okay, now that I've had this session with Monica, how can I use the tools that she's given me to really keep the momentum going with this transformation? And then to also make that transformation permanent, because it can be instantaneous. Like we can have all these aha moments on our sessions, and then it doesn't mean anything if you can't really translate it into everyday life and apply it in everyday situations. So I think I had a question for you before we started, which was, about how to be more grounded, I think, or centered in knowing who I am, and maybe even listening a little more to my body, because I feel that after, like, let's say after a week, for instance, because I generally am able to take everything that you give me as tools during our sessions and apply them. And as the week, as I get to like closer to the end of the week, it's the application of it is not as much as I used to do it. Meaning, right after the coaching session, it's like, okay, Monica gave you these tools, you can apply it. And if I have situations that come up, I'm quickly able to apply these tools very quickly. And then the week goes on, and then situations don't come up, so I don't really need the tools, so I'm not really applying them. And then I realize, though, at the end, it's like, okay, something comes up, and it takes me a while to like, oh, hey, yes, you have this tool, use it. What are you doing? You're going back into your old habits. So I guess my question is this. Old habits are or can be hard to break. But the thing is, when you give us like these tools, and you've given me many, many tools, how do I now make those tools a habit where I don't even need to think about applying it? It will become simply my default mode, if that makes sense. So I want these habits to become like a default mode. I do realize that right now what I'm doing is by applying these tools daily, that helps me. And as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking maybe that's what I need to do even when I don't have a situation. is just to practice these tools anyway until they become habitual, until they actually become me. Um, Before you actually push the record button, I gave you the example of somebody who would come in to see you maybe for weight loss and say, wow, this session really changed me. And they could even sense and feel the changes in their body. But then after the session, maybe 2 days later, they go to McDonald's to have a Big Mac. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. You just had a session and yet you're going back to habits that you yourself have made it clear you want to lose weight, but you're going back to habits that are harmful, that actually will put on more weight on you. So I know I'm kind of rambling on here, but I wanted to ask you these questions. Is like, how do you make these new transformative tools the default habit in one's life?
So first of all, it makes totally sense. Thank you for asking these very important questions, because a lot of clients, a lot of people have these questions. And while you were asking these questions, seems like you already got a little bit of an answer yourself by making it a habit, maybe doing it also when it's not acute, when you don't need it urgently, but just like what we know, what we have repeated so many times, our mind learns by repetition. So how do we establish a habit? How do we make a habit? By repetition, by making it something natural. I'm sure you don't have to remind yourself every day, do not forget to brush your teeth. It's just something we do. Why? Because we have done it for so many years, so often, that it's a part of us. That's what we do. That's what we do every day, in the morning, in the evening, and that's not anything someone has to remind us always. But has this been always like that? Of course not. As kids, we didn't like it, and we rather did something else. And our parents always said, go brush your teeth, do this. And we didn't sometimes even understand why do we have to do this, and it's boring, and it's so at the beginning, creating a habit needs this effort to do it over and over again until it becomes easier and easier and easier. And this applies for everything. Doesn't matter if it's brushing your teeth or if it's applying tools you have learned or learning a language. So the more often you use it, the more natural it will become, and the more permanent. I love how you said it, like the more you want to have it permanently. And the more often you just practice it with not needing it now in that moment, the more natural it becomes. And also it goes into a deeper level. You internalize it. And then whenever you need it, you don't have to think about it anymore. It just comes up because you practice it. So the short answer to that question is practice. Do it. Always. Every day. Make it a habit. By repeating. And very important ingredient there is also having fun while doing that and doing it and doing this. And there will be a time or a day where you just don't feel the fun, then do it despite of not feeling like it. Just this is what a new situation, a new language, a new habit, a new whatever skill you want always has at the beginning. It's because it's a change. And then it's like I said before, it's an act where we have to actively do it, put energy there and effort. until it becomes automatic and we don't need as much energy and effort to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. When you were talking, something popped up in my head, which was, yeah, a lot of the times there are things that we don't like to do. So I'm just going to give you an example. Like after one of our sessions, we had a healing session together because I had some stomach issues, and after that, I felt great. What I came to the realization though is after that healing session, and we dove deep into what may be causing it, I realized that my lifestyle had to change. So certain, especially my diet, just had to change to support the work that we did. But I have to tell you, I really struggled with the fact that I had to give up some things, Monica. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I just, things that I loved, like, oh my gosh, I love eating popcorn and pizza. But clearly my body is like, no, lady, this is not sustainable. This is, there are, processed foods that I was eating. That clearly my body was sending me signals, hey, this is not good. But I was dismissing it because I just love the taste of it. I mean, I'm just going to be really honest and real here. I really love the taste of it. So it's, how, I guess my question to you would be like, how would you advise, or I guess maybe coach someone how to get out of not missing things that are not helpful? Like, I'll use an example, for instance, as sugar, because I loved cookies, and that was, again, one of my weaknesses. And, I even got the name the Cookie Monster because all of my friends knew. They're like, oh, she's like the Cookie Monster. She just like eats cookies all the time. And fortunately for me, I never had like a weight issue, but let's face it, sugar is never good. It doesn't matter what weight you are. Sugar is just not a good thing to consume exorbitant amounts of it. But it truly for me was like an addiction. And I just loved cookies. I would eat cookies in the morning, Monica, with my coffee. I would have cookies all day. And that is one thing I had to give up. After our session, I realized, hey, no, your diet has got to change. Because my body is very intuitive, has always told me, no bueno, there are certain things you shouldn't have. But despite that, I would go against it, and it would cause complications. So my question is, how would you like coach somebody like me who like loves something and I miss it right now and I want it, but I love the way my body is feeling right now. I feel so healthy and I have so much more energy, but yet I miss eating cookies, Monica. I'm not gonna lie, I really miss it. I miss eating cookies like crazy. And I don't know how to get rid of that.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing this. And that's, first of all, that's normal. And I think everyone who is watching this video can relate to that. I can. And also what I want to say is congratulations on listening to your body and understanding what he says and then acting on it. And what a great outcome and growth experience you've had after the healing session, that you suddenly knew, okay, this is not what I want. So, and answering your question starts exactly there. Why did you come up with the idea not eating cookies and popcorn and anything that's not good for you anymore?
That was interesting. So the having experienced so much pain in my stomach, um, after the healing session, I felt a world of difference. But prior to that, already, because I was having these issues, there were certain things that I could not consume. And my body would automatically like reject it. So I was already almost like on the path of like, hey, the body was just naturally eliminating certain things. So there were certain things I had stopped eating. Like I wasn't having my cookies in the morning because, again, I was throwing up. It was the pain was so severe. I just stopped eating. Then we did our session, the pain went away. And it was only after the session that I realized, okay, prior to that, I had stopped eating certain things. And I knew that moving forward, I had to take certain precautionary measures so that I could support the system that we did, because I didn't want to go back to having pain again. So I closely took inventory of like what happened prior to the issues that I had. And then after looking at that, I said, okay, I'm going to start back slowly with reintroducing certain things into my system one by one. Now, this, Monica, was not fun at all. This was, as a matter of fact, it still is because I'm still in the process of that as well. And that session we had was a few sessions back. But I have a journal and I'm keeping a close count of everything that I consume. And when I mean everything, I'm talking about beverages as well as food. So it turns out that um, for whatever reason, for instance, my body is rejecting chamomile. It's also rejecting uh, bread, believe it or not. And I was like, whoa. So I introduced every single thing one by one, which was no fun. But at least within 30 minutes of consuming whatever it was, one by one, immediately, boom, my stomach would start to feel the pain. And I was like, okay, nope, that means I cannot have this and I will not have it.
Okay. So I'm sorry to interrupt you here, but what I understand that you say is the reason why you quit cookies, chamomile, whatever comes up in this inventory, which by the way is amazing that you did, just having a record of whatever you see, because that's the only way how we can find out. Well, looking on what is, there we have to start. What's the fact? What do I eat? And what does make me feel good and what not? So the answer to the questions why you quit certain things is, you just said it, because it makes you feel bad, right?
Yes.
So there's pain when you
Yes.
eat it. Yeah. And when you not eat it, you feel
Amazing. I feel energized. I have more energy. I have no pain. I mean, zero pain whatsoever. Um, I feel awesome. I feel great. I
okay.
just, maybe my brain, there are parts of me that just miss certain things. And I just, yeah, I just have a hard time with that.
Well, first of all, also here, I mean, it's all habit also. If you were used to eat these things and there are certain ingredients that are addictive, like sugar, that's a fact. We get addicted to sugar because it's made so. And meaning overcoming this, changing this habit needs a lot of discipline. until we are over that and we are not used to it anymore. So, one ingredient to answer the question is, there are 3 points I want to really mention. And one is discipline. Discipline, it's what we need. And it sucks, but we have to. We have to go through that. And this is in any case, if you want to change a habit, if you want to learn something new, it will always, for a certain time period, part, intensity, feel not good. That's also expanding the comfort zone. That's changing a habit. Discipline is what we need. But discipline alone is very hard. So, what else can we do? We have the intention. The intention. The intention is, why do I do it or not? If you eat a cookie, you have it in your hand and you say, why do I eat it? And if you stop for a moment, you ask yourself, do I really want to do this? There you have a choice point. But if you just do it automatically because you are used to it, there is no choice. I mean, the choice, you missed the moment where you would have a choice because it's just a habit. You always had the cookies to your coffee in the morning. That's why you don't think about it, but you just like brushing your teeth. You go there, you take it, you sit down, you have your coffee, probably at the same place, and then you eat it because you're used to it.
Yes, yes.
So you didn't take the time to stop and ask yourself, do I really want to do it? So do it with intention. If you want to do it and you see a benefit, yes, I want to do it now because today is my birthday and today I want to give me this treat of having a cookie. Well, enjoy. But if you have it in your hand and you find the intention, actually, there's no intention in eating this. My intention was to feel better. And then the third, and we can go back to each of them also, the third point is what we touched on a little bit before, is the focus. Because when you focus, you're having the cookie in your hand or just a thought in your mind. I want to have this cookie there because it was so good. It was, and you think about all these good tastes and oh my God, how yummy it was. And I bet right now you wish you have a cookie when I talk about it because it was just so nice and it was so comfortable and it was so good and it tasted so good, especially with this coffee. Well, yes, in this moment we focus on how good a cookie is and it's so lovely and so good and it tastes so good and it feels so good. But really, we have the choice to put the focus on the other side. If we link cookie with pleasure, then we will always want it and it will be so hard to resist. But if we faced it and put the pleasure on the outcome when we not eat it, because we feel so good, like you said before, I will feel so good and everything is so light and it feels so great. And putting the reality, how it is when you eat a cookie, it's pain. That's the pain pleasure principle.
Yes.
You
Oh my God.
focus, and there it helps you to keep the discipline.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm having several aha moments right now. So your 3 points were discipline, intention, and focus. I have to tell you, when you said the word discipline, I was like, okay, that's not going to work for me because I'm the most undisciplined person. And just the word itself turns me off. Just the word. I was like, okay. And then you said intention, which I then paused and I said, you know what? That's true. I mean, if I have it, or when I go into the grocery store and I see all these lovely cookies, and some people call it biscuits, depending on where you are in the world, but they look delicious. And you know what? When you were speaking, Monica, my mouth started to salivate. And I'm like, oh, it was, my mouth started to salivate. I was like, okay, now I'm sensing some sugary stuff. And the minute you said the sugar equals pain, in my brain, something went, yeah, that's right. Oh, I don't want that, because I could now have the picture. The minute you said that, the picture all of a sudden clicked to, oh no, this, if I have this, of course, my older brain would say it was delicious, but my new brain, now understanding the pain that it causes, it's like, hey, this thing is no longer bringing you pleasure. This is unpleasant. So if you eat this, you will definitely feel the pain. And I'm like, yeah, no, yeah, pain is not something that I subscribe to. So I'm gonna let that one go. But yeah, you solidified that in my brain right now, and I feel, even though my mouth is still reacting, like salivating, I am now having that picture of like, ooh, what happens after you eat this? This is the reality of things. Like, this is what's hitting me right now in my heart. It's like the reality of it. It's like you're gonna be hurting, and
Yes, exactly.
no.
And you mentioned something, and I'm sorry to go here one more time. I promise it's the last time. You mentioned that when I talked about, and this was intentionally, and I'm sorry for that, apologize, but I have to go there. That when I explained how what a pleasure it is to eat cookies, you felt it, and I did too. I could like, oh my God, now I want one. But in this moment, you go there, you wait. So instead of acting right away, you give yourself space and a pause, and then you wait, and then you see, well, this will cause me pain and all that stuff you said, and then there is a distance, and then there's a gap, because now you have the choice, like pain or this. Is it really worth it? But now I want to even go one step further with your permission, because
Yes.
we can make the not eating so pleasurable, like before the just the thought of a cookie, with the same tools, with the same technique, just using your words. You alone created it before. Describe me. How do you feel since you don't eat cookies anymore?
I feel, number one, I feel lighter. By lighter, I mean more energy. I have more energy. I have less fog in my brain, that's for sure. I'm much more alert, much more alert. And I've even noticed in certain activities, like yesterday, I went for a 5 mile hike. My endurance is up. Like didn't even feel like I needed a break or anything like that. And generally, I would need a break, like, okay, let me just sit, let me, for 5 minutes or something like that. But no, I was like the Energizer Bunny. I was like, go, 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 go. And it was fantastic. I feel, even in my own posture, that I don't know. I have like much more of a presence, if you will, which I didn't before. Um, yeah, and the downside, though, of it, I will be honest. Um, like I mentioned earlier to you, that I didn't feel well. I Okay, so I mentioned earlier that I never had a weight issue, which I've never had. I mean, maybe my genes have been blessed that way, and I'm grateful and thankful. And so when I stopped, consuming things that had like sugar in them, I did lose weight, Monica, and it was weight that I did not have to lose to begin with. So it it made me feel uncomfortable at first, and I felt, to be honest with you, I felt really bad. So I come from a culture where having weight on you, being voluptuous, means you're healthy and you're abundant. Being skinny means you're sickly and
Mhm.
there's something physically wrong with you. And so that even brought more attention to just being thin, which is not something that, I know a lot of people say, oh, you're thin, but there is such a thing I think also as being too thin or looking, I take that back, looking unhealthy. But honestly, since I stopped consuming so much sugar, now I'm going to be completely honest. I haven't removed that sugar aspect completely because I still have like honey. Honey is the only sugar that I'm intaking like right now. So I do feel healthier, and maybe that's why I feel like my body feels like there's more presence. But in my mind, I'm like, oh gosh, you're really thin, and need to put on some weight here. So I'm
Okay, stop here for a moment. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Two things. First of all, you do eat honey. Does honey make you feel bad?
no. Mm-mm.
Great. You listen to your body. So,
Yeah,
what's the measurement? Why do you eat it? Because it doesn't make you feel bad.
true. So true.
Because it makes you feel good. And the other thing is, if I understood it right, the culture where you grew up or where you come from is a culture where having a little bit weight on the hips is a sign of health, and
Yes.
being more slimmer is a sign of maybe being a bit sick or
Yes.
not that healthy.
Exactly.
What do you think about that? Is it true?
Hmm. Well, I grew up with that, but now that you ask me the question, I would say no. That's not true.
Why is it not true? Do you know people who are slim and healthy, and
Yes.
people who are maybe overweight and unhealthy?
Yes. I actually both. I know some people who are overweight and very healthy, and they carry their weight beautifully. And you're right. You're absolutely right, because I do also know some people who are thin, extremely thin, but they're fit. They're healthy. You're yeah. You're right. You're right.
So was
Okay.
this
I'm having
made?
another aha moment here.
Yes. I keep my mouth shut and just let you enjoy that.
Wow. Wow, this is such a deep program. I am having a moment right now. That is a program that I really, I mean, I became that program. I literally became the the programming of like being thinner is unhealthy, and for years, Monica, oh my gosh, for years I've been trying to put on weight. I mean, this is like the equivalent of somebody who's like maybe heavier, that say for years they've been trying to diet and lose weight. For me, it's been the opposite. For years I've been trying to put on weight, um and not really, and put on weight with other things. So I mentioned eating like processed food. I was eating a lot of processed foods, um, and ice cream, of course, and all the deliciousness that's out there. uh, and I did put on some weight, but not a lot. But now I realize that the harmful things that I was doing by consuming so much sugar was doing a lot more damage to like my internal system. So, Monica, I'm having just a mind blowing moment here. I'm sorry. I might just take a moment and just be quiet here because
Yes.
it's integrating. So, when you asked me how I felt, and I do, and I feel great, like this morning, and I have energy. As a matter of fact, after we're finished with our session, I'm gonna go for a walk. And in the past, what I'm recalling in this moment is in the past, what would happen after like my coaching session, and this is prior to our healing session. I would want to go out for a walk, but I would feel tired because I had had my coffee and my cookie or my biscuit. I'm now thinking about this and I'm thinking, oh, I don't have the energy to go out. So I did have that high for like, ooh, we have our session. I'm having my cookie and my coffee and I'm good. But then afterwards, once that's done, there was like a drop. And now that I'm recalling all of this, every single time there was a drop. There was a drop in energy. There was like, you go, hi, the coffee, the sugar, and then, and then, but I never associated it to that. I don't know why. I'm thinking about this in this moment. It's like, how could I not associate? Because I have heard in the past where people say, oh, you get the sugar high, you get the high, and then you would crash. But for me, I never, believe it or not, I never really connected that dot until this very moment. And that's why I'm having this moment. I'm like, this is so bizarre because I know this, yet it didn't register.
Beautiful. So I think so many different areas now made click or came up, or so many different things. So one thing, if I understood this right, is now you connect the sugar you consumed regularly after our sessions, for example, with this high, sugar high you hear about. And then after the high comes the drop. And then you don't have the energy. And now you can connect these two dots together. And you said, I don't know why I didn't connect. And don't worry, we all do that. We all, we all have our excuses and we all justify our behavior in order to stay there subconsciously, to break a habit, because this is work and this is something new and this is something unfamiliar where we know already our mind doesn't want to go. So don't worry, you didn't do anything wrong. You were just human, like we all humans are. But now you broke it because now you went a step behind and you looked at it from many different perspectives and you faced it and you found out that this is one aspect why you became, or this is the aspect why you became so tired. But what lies beneath actually is what you, and that's another point you came up with, is like you just discover the program that was running subconsciously. And the program was, you need to gain weight. You need to gain weight, you need to gain weight, you need to gain weight. And there are two things. First of all, well, yes, that's the program of the culture you grew up in, that you need to have weight on the hips to be healthy. But the other aspect of that is I need to, whatever follows that, means you have a lack of. So whenever we say I need to, I will never, because we are in this like I need to, means I don't have. And what you were saying, like I need to gain weight, what you really meant is I need to be healthy, right? Meaning in that moment when you say I need to be healthy, that must mean that you are not healthy right now, because otherwise why would you need it?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So what would be, and there's nothing more powerful than words you say to yourself. what would be a reframe of this old program or this old word, which would be more beneficial for you?
A reframe. In this moment, what's coming to me is I'm having serious light bulb moments, aha moments that are just lighting up my brain like a Christmas tree right now. I tell you, because wow. First of all, having had sessions with you, already my brain starts to think, is being like rewired, if you will, and thinking like, okay, I'm having a moment here, and this is a big takeaway moment. And I know at the end of the session, you're always like, what is your biggest takeaway moment? And I'm having a lot of takeaway moments right now. But in the reframe, and to answer your question, for me would be, in this instance, that there is no lack, and my body and I are intuitive enough to know what is needed, so to speak, or better yet, rephrasing that, what is best, not needed, but best for ultimate performance, physically and mentally. And that also, I feel in that reframing, there's a rewiring occurring. So these subconscious programs that are in me will now get booted out. I feel like what you've just offered me right now is the opportunity, and I'll use the analogy of a computer. It's like, oh, there's something operating in the background. Let's delete that program so we can have more space to do more. There will be like more brain power in this moment, is what I'm thinking. There'll be more physical power or endurance, health, that will allow me to live a fuller life, and to really live, not just exist, but live and enjoy being alive. Because at times it's easy to, for instance, when I had those stomach issues, yes, it was very painful, but I also noticed, like, emotionally, I was also going down. Like, emotionally, my emotions were being dragged with that whole train. And yeah, when you're in so much pain, Monica, and there's not much you can do, except for maybe thoughts that come in and say, I just want this to end. Like, I just need for this to end right now, because I cannot continue like this. I feel the same thing happens emotionally. It's like when people get to a certain point, it's like, I just need for this emotional pain to stop. I need the suffering to stop. And there's no way of seeing past the suffering. But in this moment, first of all, you offered me three beautiful things, which, I go back to again: the discipline, the intention, and the focus, that I'm now going to take with me and apply daily, even through the most mundane tasks. Probably I should do it with the most mundane tasks to make it a habit, to form it into habit. So yes, reframing in this moment means, do the things that I think about, am I really needing, or is it a want? So we need protection from the elements. That is the given. But do I need a mansion? I could have a hut to provide that protection, if that makes sense. I could be in a hut that would still, it's providing me that protection. The want is, yeah, I mean, everybody would really want a beautiful big house or something like that with several rooms in it. That's a want. That's not a need. Need is like, things that, like food. I mean, we need food. Some of us need food. Breatharians don't, but some of us still do, and need food for the body to exist. But eating, for instance, biscuits or cookies, like me, that's a want. That's not a need. I don't need to do that. I want to do it. I don't need to do that. And my body clearly is incredibly intuitive. It's this beautiful instrument that I don't have to tell it what to do. I don't have to tell my heart how to beat. I don't have to tell my liver how to process anything. So why all of a sudden am I thinking I need to tell my body, what's good for it and what's not good for it? And my body is automatically telling me, hey, this is not good. We should not consume that. That is not good. Alcohol is not good for me. And, certain other things are not good for me. The sugar. And by the way, wine has a lot of sugar in it too. So that was one of my favorite things. And so all of this I'm processing, and I'm coming to those realizations in this moment. And hopefully I answered your question. I think I meandered and wandered about it.
It's totally fine. That's amazing, because it allows me to look inside you, what's going on, and to maybe assist you to bring some clarity into that. But what you
Yes.
said, everything was so amazing. I'm sorry to interrupt you here. But one little thing maybe which could help you also is like when you said, well, cookies is something I want, not something I need. Well, and then you said, well, you can trust your body and you know what your body needs and wants. When you say, I want a cookie, who of you wants a cookie? You, your body, this program, the habit?
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay, I can answer this. It's not my body.
Great, because it's in most cases, it is like that. When we crave for cookies, chocolate, whatever it is, it's here that we think we want it, but our body actually would say, if it had a voice, please don't do it to me. But then I
Yes.
have way more work.
Yes. That is so true. Yes. That's why when you asked me the question initially, it was really seriously deep. And I thought, wow, I don't think I can answer this. But I knew I could answer, like, if my body did have a voice, yes, exactly what you said. The body will be like, no, do not. But yeah, the subconscious or the mind, I guess, or and you said something that struck me also, because you said, is it the habit? That really struck me. I was like, okay, yes, it is the habit. I definitely think it's the habit that wants more than anything. And
Yeah.
wow.
And what happens if we act on a habit, meaning we sitting in the back seat, the habit has then the steer and drives the car. But if we want to take control of our life, we have to take on the steer again and come in the front seat and say, no, 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 I go this way. This was just a habit. So, but this is just, these are all little, it's all the same, what I say, just from many different perspectives. So it's a lot in this session, I know. So let's maybe get a bit of structure into that. So first of all, whenever you grab a cookie, you can ask yourself, who wants it? Well, is it the habit? Is it me? Is it my body? And then decide on that. And then you brilliantly already know the three things which I gave you. Discipline, which is the hardest and the toughest. And I'm like you, this is something like, no, I don't want to use this. But together with intention and focus, it makes it a little bit, clearer. So discipline, intention, and focus. And then giving yourself the space whenever you grab to it, to really have the time to ask yourself, to really, who wants it? Do I want it? Do I need it? And what do I want? Because when I take it, I take the whole package. I take the lovely taste, but I take also the pain. Or, and there is the focus, do I want to feel light, full of energy, alert, having more endurance, having a great posture, feeling good, feeling healthy? Then there's the focus there. So it's the pain pleasure principle. And then, and I think, even though we didn't mention it really loud, but I think the most important here was that you had this conflicting belief, and correct me if I'm wrong, within yourself. And our mind cannot hold conflicting beliefs, they cancel each other out. It's always like a battle, And the conflicting belief was, I don't want to eat this cookie, but if I don't, I will lose weight, and I don't want to lose weight.
Oh my God.
So it was, like this. I think we had it in another session. Again, there's this team, and they're pulling, and they're all same strong. So what we want to do is we take one person or all the people from here, from this team, into that, so that they are stronger, that they say no cookie. And now, while you were looking on this and seeing and discovering this program, well, that's a program, actually.
Yes.
That's what this culture said, and this society. But when I asked you, is it true that slim people are unhealthy always? Is it a fact, or is it a story? You said, no, actually, it's a story. And by the way, you said later something really smart also. It's like you wanted to gain weight with processed food, with sugar, to be healthy. Isn't it an irony?
It is totally.
But we all do these things, It's because but how can you not eat this and you can still gain weight if you like? I mean, did you gain weight when you were eating this?
Not as much as I wanted to.
And also because you had then so much stomach pain and so many issues, you said you would throw up. So did you gain weight?
No.
Did you become healthier?
No.
Did it make you feel better or worse?
It made me feel worse, and then actually complicated things for my internal organs. Now that you put it that way, it did. It actually complicated things. Yeah. Wow. 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 Wow, Monica. It was like the mind cannot hold two opposing thoughts. That nailed it right there. Yeah, this is, wow. And I've done a lot of work on myself, but this is truly, honestly, um, it, this revelation is like an eye opener. It's now I'm going to be able to really take everything that you taught me, especially today with the waiting and pausing before taking action with something. It's like that pause, and then I guess putting it into practice would be part of that disciplinary section. Yeah, I still don't like the word, but I can work with, if I continue, because that's what it is. Discipline just means you're you're practicing it. You're putting it into practice on a regular basis. That's what discipline is, right?
Then call it that way.
Okay,
Forget the word discipline, call it regular practice.
regular practice. I love that. Okay, yes. So yeah, I have a programming behind the word discipline too as well. So yes, I like that. They'll put it into regular practice. Um, wow, thank you for that. Thank you for tying that up so nicely. Because I know when I talk, sometimes I feel like I'm like all over the place and I speak, but I want to say thank you for bringing it all together. And in this moment, also want to thank myself. Uh, and this, goes along with one of the sessions we had about self praise. And I have to say to myself, I'm really proud of myself for um, coming forward and also not judging myself, because in the past I would have said, oh, you're such an idiot. How could you not even think that? Like, that's stupid. That is so, like, where are you? Where's your brain? And that would be like almost like my internal dialogue. And then I sometimes would laugh it off, or sometimes I would cry. But in this moment, I'm just really grateful, Monica, that I could bring myself to an awareness, but an openness also, that then led to this clarity, and for you to like also not necessarily pull it out of me, but invite it out of me so that it can come forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And funny enough, that we have um, these 3 points, which is like instead of discipline, you said putting it into a regular action. Like, and the second is intention.
Intention.
The third is focus. And then there's another point which I haven't mentioned yet, but you did, and that's gratitude.
Oh,
Because whenever you choose whatever you do, you have the cookie, and you discovered, well, there is more pain in eating the cookie and there is more pleasure in not, because I want to feel that way. And then you can tap into that feeling, and then you can be grateful in that moment for feeling so fit, so light, so comfortable in your body, and practice this over and over again.
mhm.
And I'm curious what you tell me, how many cookies you have eaten.
So I will be honest with you, after our session, and I may have mentioned this earlier, but after our healing session, and my stomach felt great, and I waited a little bit, but I did have a cookie, like probably like a week or two later, like a few days later, and I was like, yikes! I'm like, oh no, I can't. Um, and yeah, that's when I decided, okay, you need to really be more thoughtful about this. But
Yeah.
I wanted to share that with you. Yes, I love those 4 points. Definitely, this is the other thing. In the past, I would have had to write all of this down because the brain fog would be like there. And not to say that I couldn't think, but it was like, oh, I had that thought. And oh, by the way, what did you say? So it was, even though I felt like I was present, it was like my brain was just like, that kind of thing. So now those points that you made very clear are solidified in this, and I'm going to put them into practice. So, yeah.
Perfect. And How will you do it that you have it permanently?
Oh, I have to do it on the regular. I have to do it like I mentioned earlier before. It's even in the smallest of tasks. It's, grabbing something out of the refrigerator. It's like, okay, just pause for a second and then set the intention and then the focus and then also just using my intuition now at this point also and go from that point. But at the end of it all is to be in a space of gratitude for it all, whatever brings, whatever comes forward. It's just to remain in a space of gratitude for all of it.
Amazing. So. Amazing. I love it. And one little thing, just within the area of focus, I want to add on is like focus also on the time, because know that there will be a time when it won't be this need to convince yourself not to anymore, because it will become familiar and it will become natural not to. It won't be this like fight a little bit inside anymore. It will be natural to just not to forget it, to not know that there is a cookie what you normally eat, because it will not be there anymore. It will be out, so it will be natural. So whenever you struggle, you can also focus on the time. Well, wow, that's so amazing when I don't have to convince myself anymore to eat or not eat certain thing, because it will be so amazing and it will be just so natural. In the feeling, whenever you focus on something, go into the feeling, because the emotions and the feelings are way stronger than the logic. And whenever it tries to trick you, go into the feeling and feel it right now.
That's powerful. Yes. Thank you. That's very, very powerful. Especially since I'm a very feeling person and I'm very in tune and in touch with that. Very powerful. So thank you for adding that component. And yeah, my goal is, you stated it so beautifully, for me not to, have that push and pull thing going on. And then for this to become my default system, where it's like, oh, I don't even have to push and pull. It's like, it's my default system now. So
yes. Yeah. And how can it become your default system?
Practice.
And imagine now, we talked about this example, and it's just an example of the cookies. But you can use this anything and everything in your life. You can make, meaning the consequence of all that is you can create your life by creating your habits, because you are in the power. You have the choice. Whatever you want that it's a habit to you, make it a habit. Whatever you want to let go of, then let go and replace it with something you rather do or eat or drink or think.
I love it. And you know what, Monica? Wow, in this moment I feel like I'm becoming the version of myself that I was as a child. And when you said you have the power, the song that came to mind was like, I got the power. I got the power.
Amazing. I love it. And this is one of my favorite tools ever, is music. Because it's a repetition. It's something we hear, but not a lot of people are aware of, that we should better listen to the lyrics before we have this spell on us all the time, because it's nothing but a spell. Yes. When we repeat it and hear it with music combined. So I love using powerful songs with amazing, motivating, empowering lyric. Listen to that. Always.
Yes.
Amazing. things, so many insights, so many things going on. Thank you again so much for being open, being you, being so willing to go through these thought processes, to look at all these underlying programs, and being so honest with yourself and me and everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you so much.
I can't wait to see you next time, and go have an amazing day and week.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.